Here are 5 mispriced running backs in 2025 fantasy football drafts. We're starting out with Josh Jacobs of the Green Bay Packers, going right around running back 11 in average drafts. Remember last year, Josh Jacobs' second best year of his career, 1,671 yards, 16 touchdowns, and he had strong broken tackle and yards after contact metrics. But here was the beauty of Josh Jacobs. As the Packers season went on and they moved toward the second half, all of a sudden, Jordan Love wasn't throwing those 34 pass attempts per game. It was down to 24. And Josh Jacobs was becoming the engine of the offense, despite playing only 62% of the snaps. So he was very involved. His role as a receiver is a bit inconsistent. I understand that. 36 catches, but he had 6 games with 4 to 5 catches, 7 games with 0 to 1 catches. So that part of his game isn't outstanding. But the offensive line in Green Bay is great. And we know that Jacobs is the clear goal line back. He didn't have many 100-yard games, only 3 of them last year. But the point is this: as a running back at running back 11, his floor is too high for that. There are running backs who are landmines in your draft because of durability issues, which Jacobs has been largely healthy for most of his career. Other running backs are coming maybe off career years. Josh Jacobs is that running back who should be drafted a couple spots higher because of that amazing floor. And I don't think he's tapped the ceiling out, because remember, in the first half of last season, as I said earlier, it was more of a pass-based offense. All right, next we'll take a look at Kaleb Johnson, rookie running back of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're getting him right around running back 24 in drafts. I think he should be higher than that in drafts. Now in college, of course, doesn't always translate. 1,537 rush yards, 6.4 yards per carry, 21 touchdowns. Just for reference, yeah, he was pretty darn productive. It's a fast, physical runner, solid receiver, actually, and he's a big play threat. And what I like about his role in Pittsburgh, the offensive line talent may not be elite, but Coach Arthur Smith makes sure there are extra tight ends on the field, maybe an extra running back on the field, to get extra people involved in blocking. And so this Arthur Smith offense has always been very successful with the running backs. Now, the team moved on from Najee Harris, who was always a lock for 1,000 yards. Kaleb Johnson at least moves into that role. And in that role, Johnson seems to have more explosiveness than Najee Harris did. So I think you could make a case that Johnson goes easily past Najee Harris's numbers. And again, the receiving skills are there. But remember with Jaylen Warren, the second running back, 2 years ago, 2023, he was looking like a great running back. He regressed quite a bit in 2024. So at the very worst, Kaleb Johnson's in a 50-50 timeshare in a very run-focused offense where there'll be a lot of touches. But in the best case scenario, Johnson actually distances himself from Warren, which is something that Najee Harris couldn't do. And that would put Kaleb Johnson in the vicinity of running back 17 or so, which would be way ahead of ADP. But I still think he's a top 20 running back regardless. Tony Pollard of the Tennessee Titans is next, going around running back 28. And again, I think this one's a steal. Tony Pollard was outstanding last year, but the Tennessee Titans offensive line was not good at all. Yet Pollard showed 68th percentile yards after contact, 1,079 yards and 5 touchdowns. It was a great season. He was overused a bit. Tyjae Spears missed a lot of time with injury. But the beauty this year is the Titans bring in 3 offensive linemen. Well, two offensive linemen who are veterans to take over. And then last year they did bring in center Lloyd Cushenberry, who had a down year, but he has shown elite skills at center. So these 3 could be very helpful. And then 2 recent first-round draft picks for the Titans, J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski, are still developing. So this line, at the very worst, should be adequate, but at the very best, it could be very good. And this is huge for Pollard. Tyjae Spears will be involved some, but Pollard is a versatile all-around back with dynamic skills. And this is an opportunity that he should be able to take advantage of and cash in, falling somewhere around running back 20 at the end of the season. He's a steal. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep that fantasy advice coming your way. And if you want even more of RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. Head to rotowire.com, choose your subscription, and use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, let's go next to J.K. Dobbins. Now the Denver Broncos going around running back 38 in drafts. Now Dobbins has been in the league 5 years, and he's only played in 44% of his possible games. So we know massive durability issues. Now last year he was largely healthy, missed about a month of the knee injury, but was on the field otherwise. So that was a step in the right direction. And his yards per carry, J.K. Dobbins, was 4.6. That was far below his career average, which was 5.75 early, in his days with the Ravens. But that said, Dobbins was still 75th percentile broken tackle rate, 68th percentile yards after contact, and now he comes to Denver, and he'll share a backfield with R.J. Harvey. But the beauty here is that Denver has an excellent offensive line, and also they brought in defensive reinforcements. So this defense could give them leads, which means more running the football. And we know Sean Payton, think back, and I'm not comparing these backs to them, but remember the days when Sean Payton had Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. You could see two running backs putting up big fantasy numbers. In this offense, with this offensive line, I could see the case where they're playing with leads and both running backs are useful. And J.K. Dobbins at running back 38, if he is getting a good percentage of that backfield work, there's no reason to think he won't. You're worried about durability, but the cost of running back 38 bakes that in. Take him around running back 35, running back 36, make sure you get him, but he will be a stable option for your bench when he's healthy, which is hopefully more than he's been in the past. All right, last one, Tank Bigsby, Jacksonville Jaguars, around running back 50. And I know people are shying away from Bigsby. Now, Bigsby's 213 pounds. Travis Etienne actually weighs more, but Bigsby is the only running back on that roster who runs like a big back. And if you remember, Liam Cohen, who's now the coach of the team, he was in Tampa Bay last year, and we remember it was stressed to have a downhill running style. And that was a big deal because that downhill running style worked extremely well. Now, the offensive line in Jacksonville, not as good as the one that Cohen had in Tampa, but Tank Bigsby fits this profile. And last year, remember, 96th percentile yards after contact, 80th percentile broken tackle rate. He did have a lull after a hot start, but we saw Tank Bigsby was a very powerful, solid back. He has some experience under his belt. And I think even though Travis Etienne is considered the lead runner going into camp, Bashal Tutin, super fast runner, they're going to need a physical presence. And I think Bigsby's going to offer that. And at running back 50, you're taking very little risk for a running back who could end up as a running back 2 or a flex option for you every single week.